Hello and welcome to the Orange County Taxpayers Association OC Taxpayer Update. I'm Carolyn Cavecci, President and CEO of OCTax, and we are thrilled to have with us today the elected Orange County Treasurer Tax Collector Sherry Freidenrich. Sherry, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Well, thank you, Carolyn. I'm honored to be here, to be on the Orange County Taxpayer Association show. It's going to be a great day to get some information out that I think taxpayers will definitely like.
So you've served as our county treasurer since 2010?
I have. I was elected in November of 2010 and took office on January of 2011.
Great. And what did you do before that?
Prior to that, I was the city treasurer for the city of Huntington Beach, also elected for almost 16 years. And then prior to that, I came from private industry. I started working for Deloitte & Touche and was a manager with them, specializing in their healthcare, real estate, and hospital industries. And then I went to work for McDonnell Douglas, one of our local companies that's now been absorbed by Boeing. And then when the bankruptcy hit in the early 90s, I felt that government needed good CPAs in office, and so
what a concept, right?
Yes, someone who understands those fiscal responsibilities. And so I became the treasurer for the city of Huntington Beach and have been really in public sector helping taxpayers ever since.
And you were elected in 2010, re-elected in 2014 overwhelmingly, unopposed, right?
I was unopposed.
Congratulations.
I was honored.
Best way to run for office is unopposed. So good for you. So a lot of people out there, we send you our checks. Tell us, what does the treasurer tax collector actually do in Orange County?
Well, that's a very good question. You know, the treasurer and tax collector were at one point two separate positions. In fact, I'm the first woman who's ever been the Orange County treasurer tax collector.
I didn't know that.
Thank you very much. And so I have two completely different responsibilities. First, as the treasurer, I am responsible for investing the public funds of the county. But in addition to the county, state law allows for, or actually requires, that the county treasurer also invest the funds of all the school districts and the community colleges here in Orange County. So I am their banker. In addition, we do offer some voluntary pool participants to join in investing in the county pool, and we have several cities and several water agencies and other agencies that invest in our pool. Along with that comes several responsibilities. First of all, I sit on the Public Financing Advisory Committee, which approves all debt before it would go to the Board of Supervisors, so an important role after the bankruptcy. Secondly, I sit on the Audit Oversight Committee, again another important role because that really makes sure that the county is producing financials, it requires audits to be produced, and really is just that good oversight for the county's financials. In addition, I also sit on the Deferred Compensation Committee. That's the committee that handles like the 401ks. We call them 457 plans for our employees, making sure that we are providing a good offering of different mutual fund classes to be able to make sure our employees can invest in using their money. And then lastly, and probably one of the biggest, is I sit on the 9-member Orange County Employees Retirement System Board.
Wow. And in your spare time, what do you do? Do you
well,
have
I'm also the tax collector, and as you know, there are still a whole other host of jobs that we do.
Okay, well, so you take our taxes, you collect our taxes. You don't take your taxes, you collect our taxes. We send you our property tax twice a year. Everyone here owns homes, writes a check, and sends you a pretty good amount of money. So you get the checks in. Where does it go? What do you do with the money?
Well, a couple things. We have two really quite different types of property taxes. The one you're talking about is our real property tax, which is on land and improvements, and that's what we call the secured property tax. And we do send out a bill in late September, and then you have two installments to make that payment. The first is due November 1st, and the second is due February 1st.
I know those dates very well.
Yes, and that is for the real property and improvements, and that is the biggest part of it. This year we billed over $5.8 billion from the secured property taxes. But however, there are many businesses we have here in Orange County, and people who actually own boats and people who own aircraft, or maybe businesses that own aircraft, and county also taxes those through the Prop 13 1% tax. So their due date is, we usually send our tax bills in July, and they are required to be paid by the end of August. And so again, it's the same 1% that's on the real property, but it's on this what we call unsecured property tax, and those are much smaller. Those are about $380 million of taxes.
Okay. So you get all this money in. What do you do with it?
Well, the good news is we collect it's a centralized portion to collect on behalf of over 200 agencies here in Orange County. So when we collect those funds in, we invest them for a very short period, and then we get them out to the people who really need them for their revenue source, such as cities or special districts or the redevelopment agency trust funds.
Right.
Those are the actual recipients, and certainly the largest is the school districts. The
Right.
school districts get over 62% of those property taxes if you consider it before all these state swaps.
Right. And a small portion of that goes to the county gets a small portion of property tax as well, too?
Right. The county gets 6% before the state swaps, and that is, I believe, the lowest or one of the lowest. It is the lowest in the state. I thought so.
Yeah, it is the lowest in the state of California. It is.
Right. And the interesting thing is, you think about that 6%, it actually represents 92% of the county's general fund revenues. And that is basically what means government will run.
Okay.
So the county needs to run on public safety, public protection, general government. We get 92% of those revenues from that 6% little piece of the property tax.
Yeah, and I know a lot of taxpayers that I talk to are unaware that the property tax is the one local tax. It goes, we pay it to you, it stays here.
Right, except for I will remind you that we are a donor county.
Yes.
And so because of the schools, we do send some of our taxes, which is why we get one of those lowest percentages.
Right. And we can do a whole show on the ERAF shift too if we wanted to.
Yes, no.
No, we don't want to do a show on the ERAF shift. All right, so 92%, there's 8% of the budget then comes from someplace else.
Yes.
And that money comes through your office?
Yes, all the funds coming into the county would come through my office.
Okay.
We would deposit them. We maintain all the bank accounts for all of the agencies. And some of the money is like John Wayne Airport. You think of John Wayne, you forget it's a county asset. It's owned by the county.
Okay.
So all of the revenue from John Wayne comes in from those airlines, those lease concessions. I'm sure you've gone to the airport and bought a Starbucks coffee or something else that's there. So John Wayne is certainly one of the enterprise funds. We also own all the landfills here in Orange County. And those landfills, if you take any trash there, there are lots of fees. We also have a lot of dollars that come in from the state and federal, maybe for our health care or other services that we provide as a county that are generally funded by some of those state or federal organizations. Okay. So in total, the total county budget is over $5.5 billion.
Wow, 92%. Property tax raise. Sales tax, county get any sales tax?
We have a very small percentage of sales tax, but it's going only to the DA and the sheriff. It's just a specific tax that goes directly for them.
All right. Well, I know a big issue that we hear from our members at OCTax is about pension and unfunded liabilities.
Right.
And I know you mentioned you sit on the OSIS board.
I do.
So if you could kind of explain again, go into more detail what OSIS is and who sits on it and how that works.
OSIS is the board that basically is responsible for making sure that the pension payments will be made to those members. And even though some people may think that the pension plan actually decides what the benefits are, those are actually decided by the Board of Supervisors.
Okay.
They decide all of the benefits. So the OSIS board is really responsible for making sure that they are getting funded and that the benefits are being paid to all of those members. We have a 10-member board of which 9 are always voting. One is an alternate and would vote if one of the public safety members is gone or one of the other general members is gone.
And who appoints that board?
The board is made up of half elected and half appointed.
Okay.
So as I mentioned, it's really a 9-member board. The treasurer sits on it as a kind of an ex officio. So I'm that 9th spot, and then you have really 8 spots. 4 of those are appointed by the Board of Supervisors, and 4 are elected, and then the elected have the alternate who is also elected to fill in.
Okay. And that board's responsible for investing all the dollars as well, too.
Right. That board currently invests about $12 billion, and the primary responsibility is making sure those funds are there. So essentially they set up assumptions such as the discount rate, which currently is at 7.25%.
Right.
And that dropped from about 7.75% just several years ago. We reduced it by the 50 basis points because we just weren't seeing that when our actuary came to us with what our asset allocation, it wasn't going to make that 7.75. it was going to hopefully make that 7.25%.
Okay. And a lot of people, most of the cities are invested in CalPERS at the state level.
Yes.
So OSIS is really specifically for county employees, and then some special districts are in that as well?
Right. There's actually, we probably have quite a number of participating sponsors, but most of the cities, as you say, really use the CalPERS, and it is some of the agencies that are here in Orange County.
Fire Authority,
right? The Fire
Transit.
Authority,
Okay.
all of the South County,
Okay.
they use the sheriff's
That's
office.
right.
Those again
Okay.
would, those sheriffs are through the county, and so they would be funded through OSIS.
Okay. You really are very enthusiastic about your job, so you sound like you're liking what you're doing.
Well, I really feel like making a difference for taxpayers, and that's really, our elected officials should be working for taxpayers, and I work for taxpayers, and my goal is to implement changes in procedures that really help benefit that taxpayer and take advantage of those economies of scale that we have here at the county, which are huge. I mean, an example is bringing my CPA expertise to the OSIS pension plan. You probably have had a house loan, probably over your life, maybe a 30-year loan, and a typical loan pays principal and interest every year. So when you think about OSIS, we used to have a 30-year mortgage. Well, it's a little different. We didn't start paying principal till year 21. Okay. So your first 10 years in accounting, we call it negative amortization. And so you're actually building that balance. And so just several years ago, I was instrumental in really getting us to change that amortization schedule to a 20-year amortization schedule that saved taxpayers with that one swoop of the change $625 million.
Wow.
So we need people working for taxpayers, understanding those fiscal responsibilities to be able to affect changes such as this that really are good for everyone.
And you've made some other improvements in the office, haven't you?
I have. One of my goals is really trying to listen to the taxpayer and trying to be that advocate for them to make sure that when we send something out, I look at it from the taxpayer's percentages, the taxpayer's perception. And I think one of the first things that I did when I came is we're getting to be much more a technology-oriented society.
Everything online now,
and
right?
Everything is online. And when I came in, I started taking some phone calls, and I found out that we didn't have our prior year's tax bills online.
Wow.
And it was a very easy matter because every year we'd put up the tax bill and then every year we'd take it down. So it wasn't like we hadn't created the tax bill, we'd created it. So that was one of my first changes, is to add it. And with that change and really beefing up our website, so for 24/7, we have seen a reduction of almost 33% in our incoming phone calls.
Wow.
And that is, again, going to allow us to not have to put those resources there, which saves taxpayers money.
Staff for time. You've also, do I remember something that either you told me about or I heard about, was it e-checks or credit cards? Did you make some change with that? Am I remembering that right?
Yes, that's exactly right. When I came online, you could pay by a few different electronic methods, but the only method that was talked about was the convenience fee that was on credit cards.
Which is probably fairly large.
Well, people had to pay the convenience fee, and of course no one likes to pay it, but we had an e-check program that was basically sitting dormant.
Okay.
And so what I did is, knowing that people like to do things for free, I started promoting the e-check. And since I've been here in the last 5 years, we have doubled the usage. And we have millions of dollars that are now coming in. It's almost 12% of our total electronic payments coming in are now from e-checks, because a lot of people are very comfortable going online. You get a receipt, and this last year we added that it could be emailed to you, so now you get an emailed receipt. It's just as great as coming into the office, if of course you're comfortable paying online.
Yeah. Well, and I love your website, I have to say, to be able to just punch in your address and to be able to pull up all your information is, it's really wonderful what's on the website. So you have, I think, one of the best websites down at Orange County as far as transparency for the taxpayers and users. So,
well, I will tell you, we actually get lots of compliments from taxpayers. And how often do you get compliments from taxpayers that are looking to say that they actually don't mind paying the tax?
No, complimenting the tax collector is not something that is an easy thing for everyone to do.
Yes.
Well, it was a pleasure to have you here today, and thank you so much. And please keep up the good work. You're doing a very good job, and appreciate the transparency that you have for handling our our dollars.
Well, it is taxpayers' dollars. I'm here to work and
Right.
serve the taxpayer and continue implementing improvements just like we've been doing in the last 5 years.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And you can get more information on how your individual cities spend your tax dollars, as well as information about Proposition 13 and OCTax events, education, and membership opportunities on our website at OCTax.org, as well as our Facebook page, the Orange County Taxpayers Association. From OCTax, we'll see you soon.